love and respect the land as a human being, live with it, don't live necessarily from it, and understands that to build a future, we need each other, right? We need to build a community and we have to look to the future. And why I wanted to focus on that too was being a fan of a lot of post-apocalyptic and dystopian fiction when I was younger. What I noticed was like not a lot of the protagonists or their communities, their smaller communities, really focused on or discussed trying to build future. It was mostly survival in very small pockets of people, right? And often just one or two protagonists trying to escape chaos or violence and survive. So I wanted to sort of shine a spotlight on trying to build a future in a post-apocalyptic world. I think what I wanted to express most importantly is that connecting with culture as an Indigenous person is really a spectrum. There is no clear path to making that connection for anybody. There's not one book you read, there's not one elder you talk to. It's difficult for a lot of people. And for me, like, I was fortunate in that my community made concerted efforts to go back to the original ways when I was a kid in the 80s, right? But for people who, moved away from their communities, or people who were taken away, through the 60s scoop or whatever other measures, like, it is a way harder road back to that knowledge. I try to highlight that for anybody who reads the book, is that, the way this family experiences that journey in this book is just one family's way of doing that. And my own personal experience is just my way too. And it's important to understand that it's really complicated for a lot of people figuring out how to learn about their culture and how to understand it. Oh, it has helped my fiction writing big time. I believe I have, learned some of the foundational skills of fiction writing through being a journalist, and not necessarily through the actual writing or storytelling process, but through just meeting people and through understanding humanity. When I was wrapping up my CBC time, I sort of did a rough calculation, and I estimated that I did something like 9,000 interviews over the course of my journalism career. Obviously, some of those are repeats, but we're talking about like thousands of people I met just by being a journalist, Mm-hmm. So what I always really appreciated about that process was, first and foremost, like, people are entrusting me with their stories. If I interview somebody, then I have a responsibility to them, obviously, to convey their story in a proper way, because I'm their conduit, right? I am, relaying their story to potentially thousands of people. So that is a huge responsibility, and I never ever took that for granted. But, in the process of doing that over so many years and so many times, what you learn is just how different kinds of people respond to different kinds of situations in so many ways, right? You get to learn people's mannerisms, you get to learn how people describe things, and you do that face to face with them, right? Like, it's a fairly intimate kind of experience to interview somebody, especially if it's about something very emotional to that person, So just understanding people, I think, has been the biggest benefit to my fiction writing. Remembering how people talk, what their particular vernacular is, just how they move, how they look, and so on, So I always took note of that. And of course, like, I would never write about anybody's specific experience that they told me as I was a journalist, but I always really appreciated the opportunity to get to know humans on that level, right?